Hello, I'm Katie Steele, Southwest Climate Hub Coordinator and Director of the ARID project at New Mexico State University.
And I'm Tanya Burnett, the Education and Outreach Specialist at the National Drought Mitigation Center at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln.
And I am Julie Elliott, here today to walk you through the current and last GrassCast maps for the Southwest. I recently retired from the Natural Resources Conservation Service as a rangeland management specialist.
There's a whole bunch of collaborators that make GrassCast possible, and the slide you can see is a quick tour of their logos.
We're going to discuss the GrassCast forecast for the Southwest today. Just a reminder that GrassCast is a tool that gives you grass growth forecast for the growing season. And when you go to the tool, you'll see 3 maps. Each map considers a different weather pattern for the growing season. Julie will be explaining how to interpret the maps, and Katie will discuss how you can use a zoomable feature to help you decide which map best represents your conditions. But first, Katie will give a quick overview of the 1-month weather forecast for the Southwest.
Thanks, Tanya. So at this point, we usually look at the 3-month outlook, but as Tanya said, we're going to look at the 1-month outlook because there isn't much point looking 3 months ahead when we've got so little time left in the growing season. So this is the monthly precipitation outlook from the National Weather Service Climate Prediction Center. And as we can see over Arizona and New Mexico, a large chunk of the area falls in these categories here, 33 to 40% or 40 to 50% leaning below. So what this means is that there's a 33 to 50% probability that you'll be receiving less than average precipitation over the next month. Now, you could have some pockets which have been receiving perhaps some good monsoon rain, but on the whole, looking at this scale and looking at this time scale, we're thinking it's going to be pretty dry, but it's still not a given. The rest of the area is in equal chances. So it's either a 33% chance you'll get above normal precip, a 33% chance you'll get normal precip, or a 33% chance you'll get below normal precipitation. So that's really a coin toss in those areas. When we look at the temperature, well, hardly any surprise there. We're looking at above average temperatures or a high probability of above normal temperatures over much of the Southwest region, between a 40 to 60% chance over the middle area and the southern area of New Mexico and Arizona, and a 33 to 40% chance leaning above. So we still got a warm months ahead of us.
Thanks, Katie. For more detailed information about GrassCast, please see the June 16th video on this YouTube channel. As we've discussed before, those of you in eastern New Mexico will want to consider what type of growing season you have. Do you have a continuous growing season from spring until fall? Or do you have 2 distinct growing seasons, a spring and a summer, with virtually no overlap between the spring grasses and the summer grasses? If your growing season is continuous, you want to find the Southern Plains video on this YouTube channel. If, on the other hand, you have 2 distinct growing seasons, this is your video.
Hey, Julie, I'm curious, how have the summer growing season conditions been so far for the Southwest?
In a word, terrible, Tanya. Although there are some areas of Arizona that picked up some rain between July 24th and August 7th. This is shown by the change from deep red on July 24th, indicating 50% or less rain, to shades of light and deep orange, indicating somewhere between 5 and 50% less rain than the 1980 to 2022 average. There's also been some shape shifting in eastern New Mexico, as well as some parts of western New Mexico, as those areas have picked up some rain in western New Mexico, and eastern New Mexico is steadily getting drier since July 24th. The yellow areas are near the average, with green hues are above, and orange to red hues are below the average. GrassCast has gotten just about as gloomy as the precipitation maps, particularly for the near and below average precipitation scenarios. Here are the 3 GrassCast maps, and if the monsoons should suddenly appear, the above average maps still hang on to some blue, indicating a forecast of above average production compared to the long-term expected production. But it's getting pretty late in the growing season for the trajectory to change, and barring outstanding rain, the forecast is looking pretty worrisome for most of the Southwest. If the rains start coming again and the summer ends up being average, GrassCast expects about a quarter of Arizona and eastern New Mexico to see above average production, as indicated by the blue colors. This is a sharp contrast to 2 weeks ago, when about a third of Arizona and most of eastern New Mexico were projected to see above average production. A month ago, pretty much all of Arizona and New Mexico were projected to see above average production. Both then and now, Eddy County in New Mexico is the epicenter of drought conditions, with summer grass losses that could be as much as 30% or less of expected production, as indicated by this red color. 2 weeks ago, Eddy County was only orange, or between a 15 and 30% loss. But we can see that Eddy County now has lots of company in Hidalgo, Luna, and Grant counties, plus a spillover into Arizona and some other random parts in the north. Much of the Southwest is forecasted to see a production loss, even with above average precipitation, as indicated by the yellow color. Those areas in green or near normal production have shrunk considerably, even since 2 weeks ago. Blues again indicate above average production, as I mentioned earlier.
Julie, I remember seeing a lot of the orange and red in the middle map, or near average precipitation. Wasn't there a lot of orange and yellow in the middle map 2 weeks ago?
You remember correctly, Tanya. It's going to take a very good monsoon season to correct the huge precipitation deficit that the Southwest has accumulated. Virtually all the green shading from the previous forecast is gone, if Arizona and New Mexico can somehow manage to get enough effective rain to reach the 1980 to 2022 average. The lucky areas relishing in well above average production expectations are pretty well limited now to just this little corner of New Mexico and a few spots in the center of North Arizona that had enough precipitation to hold on to their production expectations. Remembering all the red and accumulated precipitation to date, no one should be surprised to see the expected deep losses through most of the 2 states. There's a massive amount of country in the 15 to 30% production loss category, as indicated by the orange, and the 30% or less greater losses are indicated by the red coloring.
Thanks, Julie. Well, we've had a pretty miserable monsoon so far, with only a few spots, it seems, getting any kind of rain whatsoever. What happens if the monsoons continue not to perform?
Well, no one's going to be surprised to hear if the monsoons don't come through, the Southwest is going to see deep loss of summer grass production. Even the areas that have seen above average precipitation so far this summer slide back significantly, with only the northeast corner of New Mexico and a little bit of Coconino and Apache counties in Arizona still holding on to near and even above average production. I should note that this above average production may have been made up by the early summer grasses, which with the heat and dry conditions, they're going to be going backwards. So when you look at your rangeland, you may not see above average production, at least not production that's useful to your livestock. As you can see, the 15 to 30% loss to the 30% loss or more categories have just pretty much run over most of the states. Now remember, these are forecasts. So each of you needs to consider the current precipitation trend, the health and productivity of your rangeland, and other information sources. However, given the trend and the deep losses GrassCast expects, I would also caution people to not be duped into false expectations that the direction could turn around this growing season. Most of you should be well into implementing your drought plans. That's not hoping for rain.
Thank you, Julie. I just wanted to give you all a quick reminder that GrassCast is forecasting total production, not grazable production. When a loss is expected, the grazable production loss will be significantly more than the total production loss. When an excess is expected, one needs to consider if that excess will be made up of grass species that are tasty to animals and when they are tasty to them.
You can go to grasscast.unl.edu, or to find that website, just type GrassCast into your favorite search engine. Once you're there, click on the Southwest button to find the maps that you've seen here today. You can also access a zoomable feature that let you see more specific information about your area, including how much loss or gain you might expect in forage amount, how much precipitation GrassCast believes you've received so far, and how much is expected for each of the 3 scenarios for the remainder of the growing season. So this can help you decide which scenario is most applicable to your location and how you might need to adjust the expectations that GrassCast is expecting for your location. There are also several videos and tutorials that can help you interpret the map.
This will be our last GrassCast forecast video for this season. Though there will be one more set of maps issued in the last half of the week of August 21st, and then a final season map issued after August 31st. We hope that you've enjoyed watching these videos and that they've been helpful to you. If they were, it would be great if you would let us know that.
Thanks, Tonya. Yes, good point. You can reach out to Julie, Tonya, or I via the National Drought Mitigation Center's GrassCast page. Drop a note there with the feedback form you'll find, and we will get that information and incorporate it into our videos. Once again, thanks everybody for watching, and thanks, Julie, for your wonderful interpretations. They're really, really helpful. They've certainly helped me understand what GrassCast is doing.
Thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.